Hello, this video is about solving quadratic equations by factoring. So there are 5 steps or checkpoints you want to make sure you hit in order to solve a quadratic equation. The very first thing, you want to make sure that the quadratic equation is equal to 0 in order to be able to use the zero principle to solve it. Then you factor completely, set each factor equal to 0, and then solve each linear equation separately, and always check your solutions. So here we have to solve 5x squared equals to 20x. We know this is a quadratic because there is a second power in one of the x's that makes it a quadratic equation. So in order to solve it by factoring, we have to solve for 0. And let's move everything from the right by using additive inverses. We have positive 20x on the right. The additive inverse is negative 20x. And whatever we do to one side, we do the same thing to the other side. So we get 5x squared minus 20x on the right equals to 20x minus 20x. This adds up to 0. So 5x squared minus 20x is equal to 0. Now we can factor out the greatest common factor, and we begin by putting the left side into parentheses. Each of the terms gets a denominator. We need the largest number that goes into 5 and 20 evenly at the same time, and 5 goes into 5 and 5 goes into 20. Whatever goes into denominators goes on the outside, so 5. We also need the largest power of x that will go evenly into x and x squared at the same time. Just remember, you don't want to make it too large. We do not want to be left with the fractions. So x goes in nicely into x and into x squared. Whatever goes into denominators goes on the outside. Remember that the coefficient that you place on the outside must match with each of the denominators. So this is now factored. All you have to do is reduce the fractions inside of the parentheses. So we have 5x on the outside, open the parentheses. 5 and 5 cancel into 1. X cancels with the x squared because we have 2 minus 1 gives us power of 1. So x goes into x squared x times, so we have an x, minus 5 goes into 24 times, so 20 divided by 5 is 4. X and x cancel into 1, close the parentheses, and this is equal to 0. So now we have two factors. We have 5x times the parentheses of x minus 4. So let's set each of them equal to 0 and solve. So we have 5x equals to 0, and we have x minus 4 equals to 0. 5x equals to 0 does not look like a solution yet, so let's solve for x by dividing by 5 on both sides, and we get 5 and 5 will cancel, so first solution will be x equals to 0 divided by 5 is 0. So first solution is x equals to 0. In the second equation, we have x minus 4 equals to 0. So to solve for x, we just need to add 4 to both sides. And we get x. 4 minus 4 adds up to 0. So x is equal to 0 plus 4 is 4. So the second solution is x equals to 4. So let's check each solution. So first, let's check x equals to 0 by plugging it into the 5x squared equals to 20x. And instead of x, we use 0, so let's substitute 0 inside of x squared and 0 instead of x. This will give us 5 times 0 to the second power equals to 20 times 0. And we get 5 times 0 to the second power is 0 equals to 20 times 0 is 0, and 5 times 0 is 0, and this is equal to 0. So first solution checks out. Let's check x equals to 4 by substituting it into 5 times x to the second equals to 20 times x, and instead of x we plug in 4, so 5 times 4 to the second equals to 20 times 4. This will give us 5 times 4 to the second is 16 equals to 20 times 4 is 80, and when we multiply 5 by 16 we get an 80, and it's equal to 80. So the second solution checks out as well. That's all.